my gosh. Okay. So welcome to Toast and Ghosts. We are talking today with a very good friend of mine, Miss Briana Barger. Would you like to give me a little bit of information about yourself, ma'am?
Hello. Ooh, my throat got very hot from the tea. I'm Briana Barger. And
Welcome.
I am a paranormal investigator.
You are. You really are. You
Uh,
be you be doing
yeah,
the paranormal investigation.
I do. I am fist deep in that stuff. Can I say that on that? Is this a family friendly thing?
Not really.
Okay, cool, because I'm fist deep in paranormal stuff.
All the way. All the way. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So
So,
we met a couple years ago now. We've known each other for
mhm,
quite a few years. We worked together at an event company, and you and I met at the wonderful Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary out there in um, Tennessee.
I don't remember the exact town, but yep, it's Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah, Tennessee. Brushy Mountain, pretty intense spot. You and I think at the time that was both of our first times at Brushy.
hmm
Yeah.
It
Um,
was your last day of training. It was my first day of training. It was Kismet.
it was, yeah, it was meant to be. It was a great weekend. I would like to chat a little bit about some weird shit that we had go on while we were at Brushy Mountain. Would you like to tell me about an experience that you had? I think I remember something about a notebook incident.
Yes. So yet again, as I mentioned, I was in training whenever we met at that event. So,
Yeah.
one thing that they asked us to do as trainees was to carry around like a little notebook so we could keep track of notes and write down like how to do things, what to do, how to interact with people, about the station, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I was carrying around like a little palm-sized, like, those like spiral bound, like thick, inch thick notebooks that
Like
are
the
very cheap.
like little metal
Yep.
rings. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
So that's what I was using as my handy dandy notebook. And because I'm super cool, I was wearing a fanny pack
Yes.
because I'm gonna bring them back.
Yes.
Don't try to
Oh,
stop me.
I've got some fannies in here. Fanny packs are trendy. They're trending. I'm here for
See this? I started wearing them again like 5 years ago. So just
it.
saying, I might not have started it back up, but I probably started it back up.
It might have
You're
been
welcome.
you. It might have been you. I'm gonna
So
give you the credit for it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any pockets big enough for my little chunky notebook. And my
Mhm.
workaround to have my hands free while I was walking around was I would just tuck it into like the strap of my fanny.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. Did not fall once, even when I was like jogging up and down flights of stairs. It stayed there like steady as a rock, just glommed onto my hip the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Until
Until it wasn't.
until it wasn't. So we were in the auditorium of Brushy Mountain running a census session. The auditorium is pretty infamous at that location because a lot of people were stabbed and beat up and killed there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not to mention, it was also halfway turned into like the medical offices. So a lot of dark history in that area,
Violent. Violent.
very violent.
Violent. Yeah. I,
Um, we were sitting on the ground, kind of like in a circle, like on the outskirts of the room. All of us were sitting against the wall, up on the stage,
so
just facing
separate
each other.
a bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the closest person to me, to my right, was about 6 feet away. And we're in the pitch black. So we were trying to catch shadows, look for lights, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
The,
during
the
this,
usual.
huh?
The usual.
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah. Just the normal shit.
While this was happening, at one point, I felt like this weird tugging on my waist. And I was very confused. I was not expecting a weird tugging physical sensation on my hip. And
Yeah.
you know, I feel like most people probably would have reacted as I did, which was say, oh shit. And I grabbed my flashlight really fast and I clicked it to turn on right on my hip where I
Yeah.
felt it.
Yeah.
And I saw my notebook still there where I left it, but it was no longer tucked into my fanny pack. Something had physically ripped it out of the fanny pack strap and laid it back where it was supposed to be. So that was fun.
So that, I mean, I feel like right off the bat, that's a pretty profound experience to have. A lot of people go through investigations and never have any kind of physical um experience where you're touched or something is yanked from you. It's pretty intense for a paranormal experience as far as they go.
It's also a huge bummer when it's not caught on camera because you'd get super excited about it happening and you're like, guess what happened? And everybody's like, ha, liar.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Sure
I
can.
bet it did. Yeah, yeah. I feel like the best stories are always the stories where you can say, and I had so many witnesses. So
Hmm.
many people were there and they saw it, because then you have that clarification that for some reason just really feels like it solidifies the story. But
Yep. And unfortunately, I was sitting in a dark room
yeah,
surrounded by people, but no one could
of
see anything.
course. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the mood we go
Yep.
for. Make it so it's hard to see anything at all.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brushy Mountain is incredible. It's an incredible location. I had a few really, I would go as far as to say, fucked up experiences at Brushy. Um, yeah, I was running it was also census rotation with another investigator who was leading the rotation, and I was kind of standing in, just going through it with him. We had a pretty large group, so we ended up kind of separating our group at one point. Um, but at this point, it was completely dark. We had everybody get completely silent. Senses. You really want to make sure that you can hear and feel, um, like as dark as you can possibly imagine. I think with this, a lot of times we even say to people that dark can get darker. Like as dark as you think it can possibly be, I promise you, for some reason, it can and it will get darker. Um,
There's a point where it
so
almost solidifies.
yes, yeah, that was definitely this moment. I mean, there was nothing. It was probably the darkest room I've ever been in. Um, we had a ton of guests and it was completely silent, and the other investigator was asking questions, kind of turned it over to me. So I'd gotten two or three questions out, and in the middle of like my train of thought while I was trying to get my next question out, there were these like bright white lights that were just like flying all around me. Um, and like, have you ever like rubbed your eyes too hard? And like when you open your eyes, it's almost like they have to reacclimate themselves. So it was very, very similar to that. Only I had not touched my face at all. And blinking and like rubbing my eyes, nothing was making it stop. So even when I closed my eyes, I could still see these like crazy white light orbs just like flying all around me, um, which completely stopped me in my tracks. As soon as it started happening, I stopped talking, cut my sentence off. The other investigator noticed almost right away that like I was having a hard time. So he picked right back up and finished out the rotation for me. And when we left, the problem that I had that I think upset me more than anything else was that I could not get my shit together. Like there was nothing that I was going to do in that moment that was going to snap me out of it and get me back to taking care of all of these guests that I had in the room with me. Um, so it was kind of scary because I was learning how to lead investigations alone and how to manage a group that large, and I just could not be fucking bothered to do anything. I was done. I was zoned out. I was gone. We finished. We went outside, and I asked him, pulled him aside. I was like, I just need to talk to you for a second. I was like, I'm feeling a little bit better, but please tell me what I can do to prevent something like that from happening again. Um, you also have a room full of people. Some of them are believers and they love it and they're there because they truly believe. And then you have a handful of people that go to investigations and want to investigate because they are skeptical, because they don't understand, because they don't believe. Um, So, I wasn't trying to cause a big commotion, or startle anyone or make anyone think that um, it was staged, or that there was like, anything weird behind it. So I was like, what do I do? Like, please help me, because I couldn't snap out of it. Um, and I learned about grounding at Brushy Mountain, and just different methods that you can do, and things that you can do to protect yourself, and I guess to recover from having an experience like that. Um, and I don't really think it did much for me that night. Like, I didn't really recover from that until the night was over. I had a hard time getting back into it.
I find it kind of funny that you bring up the whole like trying to stay calm and try not to like create a big hubbub because of all the
Yeah.
guests and stuff. I had a moment like that at Brushy too.
Did you really?
Um, Same session as a notebook thing,
Yeah, of course.
of course. And
Yeah.
it was the darker than dark thing happened. Only instead of it being the entire room, I saw what looked like a very, very large man crouching in front of me, like 2 feet in front of my face. And it was just a silhouette, and it was a solid pitch black. Like it looked like so thick you could almost touch it. And it
Mhm.
just looked like he was crouching in front of me and staring me in the eyes. Like that's how it felt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and yet again, I'm sitting on the ground. So
Mhm.
having somebody that close and that large just like crouching over you is it's quite an experience. It's very uncomfy.
It's
And
incredibly unsettling.
yes, and I knew
Yeah.
that one of my coworkers was kind of nearby, also crouched down.
Yeah.
So just very calmly and as casually as I could, because I'm in a room full of guests, I was just like, hey, so and so, can you speak so I know exactly where you are? And he's like, yeah, I'm just right in front of you. It's to the left. I'm like, yeah, I thought so. And where his
Okay.
voice came from was here, like that way, where it
Yeah.
was what I was staring at was right there.
Right in front of you.
Yep.
That's
And then it was maybe 30, 45 seconds after that is when the notebook thing happened.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yep.
So, may possibly have been
Connected.
connect
I don't know.
connected. That's pretty intense. I've
Yeah,
heard
I
I've
didn't
heard
say a
crazy.
word about that to anybody because I was, yet again, that was my first night. I didn't want people to think I was just like too gung ho and like looking for excuses to experience things. And so I
Exactly.
just kept quiet about it to, look and come
Yeah.
across as professional as I could.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Um, I think that's another reason I'm really looking forward to some private investigations this year.
Yes.
Um, because you can really feel, and you can experience it, and you can be in your emotions and in the moment, and nobody's going to look at you like you're fucking crazy.
Yes.
Um, because we're all on the same page here. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to backtrack us a little bit. We talked about how we met, Brushy Mountain, really incredible location. If you don't know anything about it, definitely check it out. Go hit that Google. And
There's a
Brianna,
brewery
what
there.
yeah, what got you into the paranormal to begin with? How did we get here? What made you want to pursue being a paranormal investigator?
So I've literally, for as long as I can remember, have had a fascination with the paranormal of
Yeah.
all sorts. I was obsessed with being told ghost stories when I was a kid. I was obsessed reading about monsters and looking up cryptids. I was the weird kid that was like in second grade reading about serial killers because I found books I should not have found. I was that little weirdo.
Me and you.
Yeah. So all those things stacked on top of the fact that I grew up in some pretty creepy houses. And I say houses because I mean multiple locations.
Yeah.
Um, I like the one that I lived in with my dad. Um, my little brother had this little toy shotgun that would just randomly shoot off all the time, even though there were no batteries inside. And it got to the point where I'm like,
Mhm.
it's just a weird electrical thing. I don't know why, but I'm going to rip out these wires to take care of that issue. So I yanked out all the battery and wires and all, like, everything that could still be electronic in it. I ripped them out.
Yeah.
Did not stop it. It would still just randomly shoot off. And it turned into a fun
Oh,
little
I
game for
hate
the
that.
family.
I
Oh, yeah,
hate
right.
that so much.
But
Yeah.
we were just like, how long can it keep going?
Yeah.
Um, the answer is years. It was consistently happening for years from the
Wow.
time that I was like 12, 13 until the time I was like 22, 23. That little sucker would still go off periodically. So there was that. Um, there was a
Wow.
time, yeah, there was the time my baby
I don't like
brother,
that at
when,
all. Nope. No, thank you. Mm-mm.
well, I do, I'm weird. I find most of this stuff entertaining. Like I said, it was a game for us. I thought it was funny and
Yeah.
annoying, but funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what I didn't find funny was when my little brother was like just learning how to talk. He would like lay in his crib and like babble up at the ceiling, which I haven't explained yet. But the ceiling has a hole in it because it's a staircase that led up to my bedroom. So I had to go through his room to walk up a staircase that had no door or anything. It was just an open staircase to lead to the attic, which is where I resided.
The
And
attic.
so, yep, my bedroom was the attic.
Okay. All right. All right. I
A
kind
spooky bitch. Of course, I would be in the attic.
I was
They
about to
kept me
say
locked up there.
that is so funny. It's perfect, honestly. Yeah. So little
But
brother
anyway,
downstairs,
yep,
staircase leading up to your room, which was the attic.
yep. And he could just, you could just stare straight up into my room, like there was no
Yeah.
closing or anything.
Okay.
Um, I didn't know this about the time at the time, but my stepmom told me she once went in there and was like, "Hey, who you talking to there, buddy?" And he was still learning to talk. He didn't know very many words, but what he said was, "The man in Sissy's room."
Um, the gentleman in your room is who he was chatting with.
A gentleman in my room that was happy talking to a babbling baby, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed I posted a conversation starter a couple days ago, and um pretty much across the board, all of the stories that were shared with me were from childhood. Um
Hmm.
pretty much all of them. I feel like a lot of us as paranormal investigators and people that are really interested in this type of thing
We
do
get
have
started early.
they have like what is that? Like what do you think that is it the innocence of a child? Are they just easier to manipulate? I It's fascinating to me. And it makes me wonder, like, people that haven't had experiences when they were younger or children, are they skeptics now as adults? Is that how that works? Like,
Do you want me
what's
to go on
the
my little theory rant time?
I would love for you to do that because it's been bouncing around in my brain a lot. Just the amount of stories that I read and see that people have these bonkers stories about experiences from when they were little that they remember like very clearly. Yeah, tell me
And
more. What do you got? What do you got?
so, yet again, this is a theory. I could be talking completely out of my ass, but this is kind of
That's
what how I
that's what we
feel
do
things work.
here.
It's what we do.
It's what we do here. Yeah.
So, honestly, I come from the skeptical side of things.
Yeah.
I
And that's
always have.
fair. That's totally reasonable. Yeah.
I always have. I've always wanted to believe in ghosts. I think the idea and the concept is super fascinating and I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with it. But coming into all this, where I began, I was significantly more on the skeptical side. Um, and my reasoning behind becoming an investigator has solely been because I want to prove if it actually does exist or not. But
Yes.
I've realized the more investigations I go on and the more experiences I have, that skepticism slowly fades away.
Yeah.
And then as the skepticism's going out, more and more experiences come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my theory is that I think there's like a mental block towards having experiences that children just don't have because society hasn't like,
Gotten
browbeat
to
them
them yet.
into disbelief
Yes.
by yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's a really, really awesome standpoint. I think that's completely accurate. Um, there is this um innocence that is a child who, like you said, they haven't learned to have any kind of disbelief.
Bias against believing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They
That's
haven't been
really
told they're crazy yet.
exactly. Yeah. That's a great perspective. That's really good. I like that. And you're absolutely right. The experiences that I have heard from people as children are really profound. And I feel like a lot of those experiences might be more intense than even we have as adults now. I think it really is. You're just so much more open
Mhm.
to um, the unknown, But before, like you said, people tell you, you might be, you might be a little crazy. Yeah. Maybe we should bring her to talk to somebody.
Speaking of crazy, you want to hear the experience that made me think I was the first time? Oh, my
I
voice.
Yeah.
I should remember to
Mhm.
breathe.
Hey, real quick before we go into this experience that made you a believer, what are you drinking on over there?
Oh, I've got my little boo cup. It's ghosty
Yep,
coffee
I
cup.
saw you hold that beauty up earlier. Tell me more.
I have filled him full of very hot Thai tea that I have spiked with a random mystery liqueur from my freezer.
I'm here for it. Yes, ma'am. Thai tea, hot Thai tea.
It's Thai tea.
I'm gonna have to look
It's
into that.
orange and delicious.
That's pretty good. I just have a classic Riesling tonight. Nothing fancy. Barefoot, super cheap. Food Lion, $10. So
Did it come
yes.
from a box though?
I wish it did. That would be
Would
cool.
have been better.
No, no, just a bottle tonight. Yeah. All right, so let me not interrupt you anymore now that we've got out of the way what we're drinking.
We're sip
What
sip sipping on.
yeah. What made you believe? What made you believe in the paranormal? What was this experience?
Okay, so one of the houses I grew up in,
Yeah.
uh, it was from the ages of, let's see, it was basically the entirety of my high school years and leading into when I moved out to an apartment when I was a sophomore in college. This was my mom's house, and we lived there with my stepdad. And I had two step siblings that were there, every other weekend or whatever their days were.
Hmm.
So this house was very interesting in the fact that weird shit would happen quite regularly.
Yeah.
Um, and it's one of those like instances you hear about, like the really big stereotype of like everything starts pretty innocent and simple, but things start like progressing with time and getting worse. Yeah, it was one of those fun
Amping up
ones.
a little bit. Amping up.
Sorry, I've got a puppy
So
begging.
yeah, you get that baby. Did that
Got her.
happen like over time as you started to kind of be a little more open and notice these things
I
happen?
don't know. It didn't progress wildly until I went to college.
Okay.
But so, for instance, we nicknamed it the chip ghost. And that is because when we were in the basement, you could hear somebody upstairs, like the basement was directly underneath the kitchen. And you could hear somebody like rustling into the cabinets and what sounded like the crinkle of a chip bag. And then you'd hear like the bag being opened up and somebody like grabbing individual chips and you'd hear like the crunching of it. So we nicknamed it the chip ghost and he got the munchies real hard at night. And we never saw evidence of this, but it was all auditory. Like anytime you're in the basement for a long period of time, you would hear the chip ghost go at it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's crazy. So this was you and your brother experiencing this
all of
together?
us experienced it
Wow.
on multiple occasions. Like I said, this was a frequent occurrence, which is
Yeah.
why he had a nickname.
It just became like the
Yeah,
normal for
he's just our resident stoner munchie ghost, I guess.
that is amazing. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Really crazy.
Um, We had a boxer, and I don't know if you know anything about boxers, but they're the most hyperactive dogs. Like they're
Yeah,
nonstop running.
we have a boxer
Um,
pit bull, and I mean he's an old man now, but yeah, just nuts.
puppy days,
Nuts.
rough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So this dog would just be running 100 miles an hour, like at all times, at all hours of the day, except for on a small handful of occasions where the dog would stop, stock still, like in the middle, mid run, it would stop and then stare off either into the direction of my bedroom or the direction of my siblings' rooms. And it would stand there very still, like a statue. You could barely even see it breathing and just stare, not moving a muscle for 5 to 10 minutes, and then resume with running. And that happened on, I don't know, 3 or 4 occasions that I can remember that really freaked me out because this dog, like, I cannot stress enough how much it did not, like, even when it was sleeping, it was like one of those
Yeah, yeah.
sleepings.
Just constant. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very off putting. Um,
That's very strange. Yeah.
it
Like
was
something caught his attention and held it for
too
like a
long.
significant amount of time. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've
that's
got, oh man,
weird.
that's the stereotypical animal story. We had the stereotypical renovation story. You know, whenever we were renovating the house, we tore down the walls in the kitchen to make the kitchen, the
Oh
dining
yeah.
room, the living room all one big space.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the TV would randomly get turned on, even though it wasn't, messed with or anything, and it was under
Mhm.
a big cover and hidden away.
Yeah.
And that would like it freaked out the construction builders. Like I think one of them even quit.
Yeah.
um, so all this stuff was going on. Uh, one because I'm a weirdo, I did not react in the way I should have. I was home alone. I was sitting on the couch watching TV, and this was before you could pause TV. You still had to
Yeah.
run to the bathroom during commercials and run back.
Yep. You better
And
hurry up.
yeah, you gotta go fast.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
it's a time limit. So I was in the middle of watching a movie, and I heard my stepbrother's toy go off in his room, and it was like
Is this
this
the
old. Oh no, this is a different house, different brother.
wow. Okay. Okay. That I
Like I
mean,
said, I lived in many houses that were creepy.
yeah, clearly. Clearly.
It was
Jesus
not
Christ.
safe anywhere.
Yeah. So was
No.
it the houses or was it
Are you going to ask if it's me? Stop it. Don't even finish that thought.
I mean, I'm just saying. People ask me this all the time,
Oh, I know.
all the time. Any little experience or anything that happens, whoever it is, my friend, a family member, whoever, nothing weird ever happens unless you're around. Why does this shit always happen when you're here? Why are you so weird? Why is this, it's constant. So I totally get it. But I mean it really like it could be you.
I could be, but I doubt it because I have long periods of normality and I know what spooky places feel like, if that makes sense. Or maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway,
You're like,
moving
it's not
on.
me. It's definitely not me.
As the light cat balls light up behind me
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, cat balls. Brianna's got a
everywhere.
couple cat balls set out. I also have a couple cat balls set out. Just some fun little trigger objects. We thought it'd be a cool visual, just in case,
Just in case.
just in case.
No, this was not the shotgun toy. This was a different toy. It was like a very large, like car, truck, something, but it had
Yeah.
like an actual working radio in it. But it wasn't like a push button. It was like a physical switch that you had to like put some effort into turning on and off.
Yeah.
And that thing just turned on out of nowhere. I was home alone and I just hear the radio blasting like full volume in his bedroom. And I was in the middle of watching my movie. Not even think about it. I just get fucking pissed. And I got
Yeah.
up and I stormed into his room. I reached down and physically turned the sucker off. And then I stormed back to the living room and sat down really hard. And
Didn't
then,
even
like 5 minutes
process
later,
what.
no, it took like 5 to 10 minutes for me to be like,
Oh my God. How, what was that? That's weird. Yeah.
eh.
Odd.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's
there's
a
more,
lot.
but I'm parched.
But I'm parched. So were your brothers having any other experiences that you weren't involved in? Like were they having separate experiences that they were telling
So
you about?
Um, that one that that was my stepbrother, and he was much younger than me.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We never talked about it. We're not big talkers in our family when it comes to that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We would discuss a chip ghost in kind of a flippant manner, but that was about it.
Yeah. So
And my
very
older
like very
brother didn't
subtle.
live at home, so
Yeah.
he never experienced that house. He never lived in that house. Um, there was one night, and this was the first time that I actually felt like legitimately creeped out by it because all
Mhm.
these other ones I was laughing about it or I was pissed off because I was annoyed.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I got up in the middle of the night and I went to use the bathroom. To give you a little bit of an idea of how the layout of this house was,
Mhm.
my bedroom was in an old converted garage.
Mhm.
And it was on the opposite side of the house of where all the other bedrooms were and where the bathroom was.
Yeah.
So my bedroom's on this side, the parents' bedroom, the stepsister's bedroom, the stepbrother's bedroom, bathroom, all grouped
Mhm.
up on the other side.
Yeah.
So I got up and I go to the bathroom, and it's like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., pretty late at night. And
Yeah.
as I'm reaching for the bathroom door, I hear like this clicking noise and it's like kind of like tapping, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was just sitting there listening to it for a moment. And like the creepy pervert I am, I walked over to my parents' bedroom door
I
and
love
I
it.
just kind of
I
listened.
love it. Yeah, you're like, could it be?
I was curious it was the TV.
Yeah.
Um, no, there
I
was
mean,
no lights going under
you
the
have to
door.
debunk. So
Yes.
you knew even then that you, even if you didn't want to,
Yep.
you
Yep.
had to make the effort to see if you could figure out what the hell it was. And I
Let's just
respect
say
you
I'm
for
very
that.
glad they weren't awake and opening the door just to see me like 10 p.m. at night lipping.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, you could have traumatized yourself. Good
Could
Lord.
have.
That's
But
so
it wasn't them. They were obvious asleep. The
yeah.
TV was not turned on. I didn't see the lights. I didn't hear the noise through that door.
Hmm.
And then I realized I recognized what the sound was. The
Yeah.
sound was the sound of a keyboard being tapped on. So my little sister had a computer.
Yeah.
She wasn't there that weekend. So I walk up to her room and I kind of like do the same thing with her door. I put my ear up against it and I'm listening. And sure enough, her room is where the source of the noise is coming from.
And you can
And
still
this
hear
is,
it.
I can still hear it. It has been going for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes straight now, nonstop, like keyboard tapping. And oh, I'm
Wow.
getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like I said, it was
Yeah,
one of my first like
my
legit weird experiences.
my ring light is like
Freaking out. Oh, I
mhm.
just saw it in your screen. So yeah, when I say it took me a very long time to get the balls to open that door, oof, I stood there with my hand over the handle for like an extended period of time. And the entire time, the keyboard's still just clacking away. And it sounds like somebody who's not familiar with using a keyboard. You know how it's like very stilted, like kind of that.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
pattern. It was very slow and janky. And then finally, I got the nerve to just like open the door really fast. Nothing. Sound disappeared. Nothing's in there. Computer's not even turned on.
Oh.
She's not there.
Oh.
I gave up on the bathroom and I went back to my room.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, that made me feel a little weird because um it's it's easy to like put yourself in that place and like
Mhm.
kind of like almost have the experience. Yes. That's I would not have recovered from that probably nearly as fast as you probably did. Yeah, you're like I'm like let me go back to my movie. Um I would have been like 2 miles down the block at that point.
Oh, you just wait for the next ones. I've got
Mm.
two more experiences from the place that are
Mm.
very prominent in my mind.
Same house?
So, yep, that house
Same house?
specifically.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Girl,
Like I said, it's been
please.
amping up. It's been amping up.
Please. Yeah. Yeah.
So this was technically the day that I was officially moving out when I was going to college and
Mhm.
got my own apartment there. So I was in the basement and I was like packing up the rest of my shit that was in the basement. And I
Yeah.
was down there just filling in boxes and I hear my mom call my name and I was just like, yeah, what do you want? And I heard her mumble something, whatever. Didn't hear what she said. So I was just like, hey, I can't hear you. And I heard her say, Bree, a little bit louder. And then started mumbling again. And I just heard her mumbling, her voice, whatever. And I got kind of annoyed. I'm like, I still can't hear you. And I heard her say Bree again, slightly louder, and then the mumble. And I was just starting to get a little bit more frustrated. I'm like, I'm in the basement. I can't hear you. To which she responded, Bree. And when I say this turned into 15 minutes of me and her going back and forth, of her just saying my name louder and then mumbling and me screaming back, I can't hear you, like
Mhm.
for so long. And then finally, I just slammed the box down and started stomping up the stairs to the basement. I get
Yeah.
halfway up to where I can see into the kitchen where the front door is, and the front door opens up, and in walks my mom. And she
Oh
saw
no. Oh no.
the look on my face, like
Oh my
I must have
God.
been a good one, because she immediately was like,
Are
"What?
you okay? What's wrong with
What's
you?
going on?"
Yeah.
Because I was furious. I was so angry and so frustrated, and like
Yeah.
so I was walking up like just like sheer rage, and then the
Yeah.
door to open up and her walk in. I immediately just went,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I probably would have thrown up.
yeah.
Um,
Turns out not only was she not in the house, nobody was in the house. They were in the garage packing, which is a detached garage on a separate lot.
oh,
And they weren't anywhere near me.
so you were
And
completely alone when this
I
happened.
was completely alone. No one even close. Like they could have been yelling in the garage and I would not have heard them. But
Yeah.
I heard my mom screaming at me from the kitchen. And when I say it was 10 to 15 minutes of us arguing back and forth, like it was that long.
Like it went on for a while. And
It went on.
you had no questions when this was happening if it was your mom or not. It was your mom's
I was
voice.
positive it was her. And I was
Wow.
so angry for,
Yeah, that
so
she's
yeah,
like fucking around with you. But really it's not even your mother at all.
uh-huh. And because
Mhm.
I'm a weirdo, as soon as she walked in and she told me she wasn't even in there, how do I react? I laughed. I laughed hysterically.
Yeah, because what else do you do? You're either laughing or you're crying, and laughing's a little bit more fun.
I,
Just,
I got
just
into
a
a
little.
yelling match with a ghost.
With somebody that I thought was you, but turns out it wasn't. So, hmm
So yeah, that was a fun experience to say the least.
that's that that's amped up a little bit from the last one. So you have one more.
The last
Yeah,
one made sure I never spent the night in that house again.
really? And did you?
Hmm.
Did you move?
Um, yeah, I moved after that. I never stayed in there again. I stayed at friends'
Shut
houses. I
up.
stayed at my dad's house. I never slept the night in that house again.
Oh my
So,
God. When, so give me a
it's
time frame really quick. When was this?
um 2011,
Okay.
2012. I
Okay.
was either yeah, I it was either my freshman or sophomore year in college.
Okay.
Um, so I was home on like a break or something from college
Yep.
and crashing at her house. And I woke up probably around 2, 3 in the morning, something like that. I'm not sure the exact time. All I know is I
Yeah.
woke up because the TV was playing in the living room and it was loud and it was annoying me and I was pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry, gotta.
It's it's coming for you. Yeah. I love
So
that. That's good.
I woke up and I hear the TV just blaring in the living room and I can see the lights, like my bedroom doors open and I can see
Yeah.
the lights like coming in from it, like the blue whatever. And I
Yeah.
was just laying there super annoyed. And it was this weird experience. Like, I don't know if you ever do this, but do you ever hyper focus on a sound to where like it just slowly gets louder and louder in your brain? It takes over everything.
Yes. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was one of those experiences. So I was just laying there, laying on my back, getting progressively more and more angry because this TV just like kept getting louder and louder and louder in my brain. And it was to the point where I couldn't even hear the individual noises. It was just like this incredibly loud white noise, like in my skull, and it was driving me fucking batshit.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
grabbed my pillow and I slammed it over my head to like try to drown out the noise as much as I could.
Just make it stop
And
at that
yeah,
point.
just
Yeah. Like anything to
make it
just make it stop.
stop.
Yeah.
And And I'm very grumpy when I get woken up in the middle of the night.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I get it. I definitely get it.
So yeah, I was trying to drown out the noise with a pillow, and the noise suddenly stopped. And I pulled the pillow down. And as soon as I do, I see there is a silhouette of a very tall man crouched down over top of me. Like the silhouette of a man, I could see like his elbows, I could see his shoulders, I could see the shape of his neck, his head. He was wearing like this hat, and he was just crouched down, like literally right in my face. And he looked like he was like 7 feet tall. Like he was like bent in half almost, like over top of me.
Oh,
And when I tell you I freaked the fuck out, I like something just moved on my counter.
really? I was about to
Yeah.
turn around because I was like, is it something behind me?
No,
Are
it
you
was me
seeing,
this time.
are you seeing something I'm not seeing? Um, Brianna and I have been on here chatting for a little while, even before we really started. We were having some odd happenings. I
Yeah.
think we neither one of us were really going to mention it. And we were just going to kind of see what happened while we were chatting, but we both had some weird things go on tonight. Insert that here and proceed.
So just out of curiosity, morbid curiosity, what would you do in that situation if you just suddenly open your eyes and see a very large shadow of a man crouched over top of you in your face?
Honestly, I'm really not sure what I would do. Um, I don't know. It like freaks me out a little bit even thinking about it. I've seen shadow figures. I've heard disembodied voices. I've had cat balls do strange things and trigger objects and equipment. I've gotten some cool recordings. I've never personally seen or heard anything like the experiences that you've had. So it's kind of hard to put myself in. Yeah, I'd probably die. I think I'd probably just die.
Just curl up and die. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I think that might be it for me, honestly. I don't know. Um, yeah, I think I'd probably have a heart attack or something. What did you do? Because now I'm interested, now that I'm thinking about the fact that I literally can't think of what I would do. Like it makes me feel a little suffocated. Like I'm like, like even just thinking about it. How did you what did you do?
Well, this is the first and only true fight or flight experience I've ever had. And it turns out I do a mixture of both.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like an actual fight. What I did instead, especially because I was on my back, laying in bed, completely prone, that is like the most defenseless position you can possibly be in. I
Yeah.
flailed. I flailed so hard. I
Oh,
kicked my legs
yeah.
up in there. I
Yeah.
flailed my arms up
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
I
Fair.
I'm not kidding when I say I contacted something. Like I don't know what it is. It was dark, but both of my fists hit something. I am pretty sure one of them was my wall, and I think another one might have been a pillow or something. And I was just waving around randomly, so who knows? But
Yeah.
I flailed, I got up, and I just booked it to the living room, slamming on every single light switch I could. When I get to the living room, guess what's going on in there?
Oh
Remember the
no.
TV from earlier? Nothing. There was nobody out there. There was no TV on. Not shit. Stop it.
He's like, I'm just here to like lighten the mood a little bit because it's kind of heavy. So you never went back. You never stayed another night in that house?
I never stayed another night there. I did go back to collect my shit, but that was
Yeah.
it. That was it for
Wow.
me, especially considering I spent the rest of that. I did not go back to my room after that. I turned on all the lights in the house. I sat on the couch, took the couch cushions, and built a little fort around myself and kind of bunkered
Absolutely.
down and just stared in the direction of my bedroom, like my doorway, the rest of the night. And because I couldn't figure out if I was just fucking crazy or if I actually experienced something, I kept my mouth shut too. I didn't say a word. I didn't
Hmm.
tell anybody anything about it. I was so embarrassed because I was positive it was a dream, maybe sleep paralysis, but the sleep paralysis thing doesn't make sense because yet again, I was
You
moving the
flailed. You
entire
were
time.
able to, yeah, you were able to snap
My
yourself out of whatever was, yeah.
Yeah, and my fist was like actively bleeding from punching my concrete wall.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so yeah, that was it for me. No more after that one.
Yeah.
Um, Several years after that, I finally kind of just offhandedly mentioned it to my stepdad. Before I said a word, I just said, "Hey, have you ever had any weird experiences here?" And before I even said anything else, he said, "Oh, you saw the man with the hat."
So oh my God.
He grew up in that house and said he was woken up several times in the middle of the night by a man, a very tall man wearing a hat standing over him. Up until that moment, I had finally thoroughly convinced myself. I made it up in my head. I dreamed it. I was crazy. I was hallucinating. And then he said that.
So was that moment worse than the actual initial moment of it happening?
Oh no, the initial moment of happening was worse. When I say I almost shit myself,
Wait,
if there was something in the tank, I would have shit myself.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That is easily the
Um,
most horrifying thing that ever happened to me.
what was it?
Sorry, I heard a weird noise.
Yeah. I can hear a dog barking here by me. Is
No,
that
I heard like a man noise. I don't know. That was weird.
I thought
Yet
I heard
again,
a
I think
woman I thought I heard a woman talking behind me earlier, so
I'm.
um
Look at us freaking ourselves each other out by telling these ghost stories.
yes, yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, I love it. I live for it, but there definitely can be like true terror and fear. Um it doesn't matter how excited you are or how much you're looking forward to catching something or having an experience. There is nothing quite like that moment, like when it's happening.
Oh yeah.
And how you feel in that moment can be really, really intense, really intense. Um, so I want to quickly touch on a little adventure that you very recently kicked off. Can you tell me a little bit more about your team, please, ma'am? Your paranormal possum.
Oh yes, I can. So, Paranormal Possums, we currently have a Facebook page and an Instagram page if you want to follow our shenanigans. I'm soon
Beautiful.
going to be creating a TikTok. In fact, I'll probably do that tonight considering the
Yeah.
Catball
Yeah.
situation.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yep. It's going up. It's going up.
It's going
And
up.
I'll make sure that you're tagged in this video as well. So if anybody's interested in paranormal possums, please head maybe down there or over there or up there. I'm not sure yet. Somewhere you can find Briana and her team. So
Yes.
what's the deal with you guys? What do you got going on?
So it's nothing like super fancy or professional. It's literally just me and my other nerdy paranormal investigation friends that live somewhat close to each other. So we've got a pretty decent lineup coming up of some locations we're planning on going to. And we hit up a couple within the past few months. And since we're doing all these anyway, and we're all going to be at all these locations to investigate, I just kind of threw out the idea. I'm like, hey, why don't we go ahead and make a team, an official team, and
Official.
like just
Yeah.
start blogging it? Why
Yes.
not? We're already
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
all.
that's where it kind of came from.
That's
And
so cool.
we're all very adorable people. And we're also spooky bitches.
That
So possums
is
just felt fitting.
it's so perfect. I was gonna say something about the possums. It's fucking hilarious. It cracked me up when I saw it. All of you guys are super smart and talented and incredible investigators. So I know everything that
Oh.
you guys put out is gonna be it's gonna be awesome. Awesome, awesome. Where have you guys been so far? Is there anywhere cool that you've been or that you are planning to go sometime soon?
So our first official investigation since we've decided to actually be a team will be at the Rhodes Hotel, and that
Awesome.
is in I keep wanting to say Alton. I had a brain fart moment. Atlanta.
Atlanta. There we go. Alton.
Alton's not
Alton.
right. It's
Alton.
in Atlanta, Indiana.
That's good. That's good. Atlanta,
Hmm.
Indiana. Okay. All right. When do
But
you guys plan on
previously,
hitting
we
roads? When are you going there?
2 weeks from this filming, so before the
Okay,
end of
perfect.
January.
Cool, cool. So you'll have some maybe pictures, videos, some stuff
Oh,
to cool, cool. Perfect.
for sure,
Yeah, you were
for sure.
saying recently did you guys go somewhere else?
Yeah. Back in November, we hit up Birdsell Mansion, which is in West Bend, Indiana, and
Okay.
prior to that, we hit up the Monroe House, which
Oh
is in
man.
Hartford City.
Yeah, the Monroe House. Yeah.
Classic, classic.
Classic, classic. Do you guys have any fun experiences while you were there?
So, um, yes,
Of course. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I hear it both ways. I hear some people have like I don't want to say far-fetched because that's kind of a stupid word for what we do because everything is like honestly. But you hear like the most extreme of extremes, and then you hear some really crazy shit, and then you hear nothing. So there's
Mhm.
kind of no in between, really. I feel like with Monroe House, you're either really getting it or you're really not.
I've heard from people who go there multiple nights in a row that the house takes some time to get warmed up to you. So if you ever plan on going, you should book it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
Um, because the first night's probably going to be a little bit slower, but
Mhm.
apparently activity really ramps up the longer you're there and the more familiar they are with you.
Same.
Um, so honestly, the night we were there, it was on the slow end, but the experiences that we had were pretty wild.
Yeah.
Um, so for instance, I was not even in the house for 10 minutes before I had to leave the house because I was positive I was going to just vomit on the floor out of nowhere. Like the
Oh my God.
overwhelmingly like heavy gut feeling like hit me in one of the front rooms like I need to get out.
Yeah, I gotta go. Gotta go.
Yep.
Wow.
And whenever I calmed down and I breathed, fresh air for a bit, I went back into that same area of the house and the feeling didn't happen at all there. But it hit me in a different area of the house that I hadn't felt it before. And then
Yeah.
that just periodically happened to me throughout the night. Like that feeling would randomly hit me out of nowhere in different locations throughout the house. So,
Wow. It's
was it
almost like
food poisoning? Maybe.
maybe it was, or maybe, you had something moving with you,
Yep.
bouncing around from room to room.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the Monroe House, I hear all the stories. It's definitely somewhere I'd love to go. It's on my list. Definitely on my list. So
So, other than that,
you
I had, sorry,
no,
we'll
go ahead.
edit this.
What were you saying?
No, you. Okay. Um, so other than that, the other crazy thing that happened to me personally at the Monroe House, nobody else got to experience. So yet again, I'm left wondering, am I the crazy one? So, and it's gonna sound super dumb because when I explain it out loud, it doesn't sound that scary.
Yeah.
But when it happened to me, I was just filled with like the dread gut feeling of everything's wrong. You need to leave.
Yeah.
So
Life is bad.
yeah, it just felt bad.
Mhm.
But it was right when we all just got there and everybody's still playing catching up because we hadn't seen each other in a while and
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of things happened and we were all, just jabbering at each other. There's probably 10 of us
Mhm.
shoved into this tiny room and everybody's having conversations with each other over top of each other. It was just chaos.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Lot going on.
yes. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to like setting up spaces for investigations where we unpack all of your equipment and keep everything as like the equipment room,
Yeah.
in
Oh
my
yeah. Yeah.
mind,
Home base.
yes, home base. In my
Hmm.
mind, I just automatically, completely illogically, considering it's still in a haunted location. But the
Yeah.
equipment room, home base, that is safe. That is a safe zone. That is where you go to rest and recuperate, and nothing happens there.
Yeah, it's like when you're in your safe space, if you don't move, nobody can see you. Like if I
Exactly.
if I don't move, I'm good. I'm good. I get that. Yeah, that's weird, but true.
It's, yeah, it
Hmm.
doesn't make sense. It's completely illogical and it's wrong,
Mm.
but that's how my brain sees the equipment room.
And that's okay
And
too. I mean, creating a safe space for yourself, I think, is a really great idea. Whether it is
mm,
safe or not, it's the intention of you creating the safe space that I think is probably significant somehow, some way.
yeah.
So,
Well, in this
yeah.
case at the Monroe house, it did not matter.
Oh my gosh.
So, and yet again, because this is the safe zone and everybody was catching up and saying hello to each other, like
Mm.
on, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say my brain was so far away from investigations and ghosts and the place being haunted. I was just not thinking
Yeah.
about that at all. I was focused on, like, hugging people, saying hello.
Yeah. Yeah. You were
So
lost in a moment.
I, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the corner just listening to everybody else catch up and talk. And everybody's being really loud. They're almost like yelling at each other. They're so loud. And
Hmm.
out of nowhere, I hear the voice of what sounded like a female child, like around the age of 3,
Hmm.
the cutesy little, like, stereotypical little girl voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear that in my ear go, "What you doing?"
Oh no. No,
Out of
no,
nowhere. Out of
no,
nowhere.
nope. What am I
It
doing?
was,
I'm fucking leaving. Bye. No, no.
and it was so loud. It was so loud. It drowned everybody else's voices out that were practically, and I got like tunnel vision. My entire body was covered in goosebumps. Like my
Yeah.
scalp was itchy and tight. Like it freaked me out. And
To the
like,
core, like
oh
completely.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seriously felt like somebody jabbed me with like a taser.
Yeah.
And I like sat up really quick. I looked around. I could tell nobody else experienced it. Nobody else heard it because they were just continuing on their merry way having conversations. I looked
Yeah.
over the window. I peeked outside. I was like, "Are there was there a child out there?" And I immediately just got up and left the house. I looked around on the street looking for people walking by. Nobody, nothing. I was
You're
I
like,
was
where's the
desperate.
child? I know
I was
there's a
desperate to
child.
find that child.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. I'd have been looking real hard too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was
Mm-mm.
no child to be found. It was just me and my potential auditory hallucinations again, or the other. Quick pause. She's the queen is demanding be uppies again.
I love her. That's awesome.
She begged to jump down and then immediately when it picked back up again.
Yeah, my nose is
So,
running and I'm trying so hard not to like struggling.
do you want to blow it real quick?
I can't I have makeup on. If I blow my nose, I'll have like a mark of like no makeup on my nose. High maintenance. So high maintenance.
So, yeah, no little girl to be found. Just heard it in my head. Um, when I finally calmed down and the panic kind of ebbed away, I told everybody else about it. And like I said, it was like a little girl. So why did it make me panic so hard?
Yeah. I
That's the
mean,
part that was so off-putting to me.
yeah, you weren't curious or, oh gosh, is that a child? It was fear. Like
It
you
was
were
fear.
very, very uncomfortable.
And I've interacted with children's spirits before. I've
Yeah.
danced with them at Ashmore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like children like spirits that you encounter, they tend to be fun. They tend to be friendly. They want to like hang out, sing songs, dance, play with toys.
Hmm.
I've never felt fear like that from interacting with a child.
That's crazy. That's pretty intense. And you hear
Yeah.
you hear too, I've heard that if you think that you may potentially be interacting with a child, um, that could be a not child, something
Hmm.
else entirely. This word like convincing, trying to trick you. I've heard that before. So honestly, anytime I feel like or I think that I might be communicating with a child, um, I I kind of like cut it. off. Um, I don't know why. I don't like thinking that I'm communicating with a child. It bothers me. I don't know why. Um,
Hey, it's never bothered me like that. I just don't.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's unsettling. It gives me that like that feeling that you were talking about earlier where like you just feel it in your whole body.
Mhm.
Um I think I've probably only had maybe two what I think could be interactions with a child. And neither time did I feel like I was actually communicating with a child. It very much felt like this like playful, enticing, trying to get me to like, you know, let the guard down. Like I'm here to play. I want to play. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It
Put it
makes
like
me
that,
feel.
it does sound very creepy.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. Kids, paranormal shit with kids just freaks me out. Because they're sensitive and they're innocent and they can hear and see all kinds of shit that we can't. And I don't like communicating with children's spirits either. I just don't.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
not my
this
jam.
one gets worse because I told everybody about it.
Oh yeah, you had
Yeah.
to though.
Too. I had to share,
Yeah,
even if I was crazy and made it up, I still had to share. So
yeah,
yeah, obviously that became a line of questioning throughout the night during the actual investigation.
absolutely.
And yeah, and for the most part, we didn't get any responses to it until we were in the basement. Uh, one investigator had an Ovilus set up, and another one had a Phasma box set up, which is a spirit
Mhm.
box, you know.
Yep.
So, for those of you who don't know what a spirit box is, it just cycles through sounds, and spirits can supposedly manipulate it to speak to you.
Mhm.
And the Ovilus is a digitized dictionary that does the same thing. It can pick out random words to communicate with you. So we
Love
had
that.
both of those running double time,
Hmm.
opposite sides of the basement. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, who was the little girl that spoke to Bree?" Simultaneously, both of those devices went off. The Ovilus popped up with the word creature, while the spirit box said it disguises itself. And everybody just looked at me, and I just shrunk down and said, "Eee, that's uncomfy."
Example A of why I don't love. What was it? Would you point at something?
Oh no, I was just,
Oh my god, I thought you were pointing at something over there, and I looked over, and there's like a light up like a window in that door. What's behind that? Because the light was like bright, and then it got dim.
oh, my front door,
Oh, is that?
highway.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's okay. I was like, oh shit.
Debunked that one.
Oh boy, yeah,
Although the
that's
timing was perfect for that, if that's the case.
it was.
No,
Yeah,
didn't
you
work
pointed,
again.
and I was like, oh, I saw it. It
She's
lit
magic.
up. Yep. Yep, yep. So, um, one other location that I heard you mention a little earlier was ISS.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Had a lot of
is that
experiences there.
yeah, is that out there by you? You get to go there probably more often than most places. Yeah,
Oh, golly, sorry, my stomach's making all kinds of gross noises right now.
I'm telling
So,
you, I've been having the same problem.
not many people know what Indiana State Sanitarium is. It's becoming more popular now, but it's basically Indiana's version of Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Hmm.
So it was a tuberculosis ward. Then it turned into like uh, a mental health facility and a nursing home, and then was ultimately closed down due to not great reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
So a heavy place.
heavy
Yeah.
place, a lot of death, a lot of abuse situations happened,
Yeah.
allegedly, um, so on and so forth. It was
Yeah.
closed down suddenly, like very sudden. This place closed down in 2011, 2012.
Just like overnight, pretty much.
It was it was so sudden that going into it now, you can still see like clothes in the dressers, files strewn about everywhere. Like they didn't clean it out at all. There's so many personal
Wow.
items just strewn throughout the entirety of it.
Do you know what the hold on. Oh, do you know what the story behind that is or why that happened that way?
I can't say I know for sure, and I don't want to like just spout out the random rumors
Speculate.
I've heard.
Yeah. Hearsay.
Yeah, and I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Allegedly,
we'll look into it. You and I will
yeah,
we'll look into it another time. Maybe we can hop back on and chat about that a little more.
yeah, I'm cool
Um,
with that.
yeah, that would be fun.
But it is definitely a place you need to visit at least once.
Yeah.
Any paranormal investigator needs to check out Indiana State Sanitarium. It is amazing. It's to the point where it almost feels like a second home to me. Like I am that obsessed with the place. Every time I go there, it is just
Like a warm blanket.
so it's so cool. But seriously, like
Yeah.
when I drive up to the drive and I like see it, like my entire body just like lights up. I'm like, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm here. Oh my
Yep.
God. I love that.
So it's so cool and so much to experience, so much to see. It's a large location.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
Oh,
heard
I could go on about it forever.
pretty massive. Yeah.
And then of course there's tunnels. Love tunnels. Tunnels connecting all the buildings. There's a mansion, there's a five-story building, there's a separate nursing home facility. It's got everything
God,
you could possibly want in a haunted location, including a hair salon.
that's incredible.
It's got a
I
little
mean, just
church area,
imagine what that was like when it was functioning. When that was all like
full capacity.
just
Insane.
normal life for so many people. It's
Hmm.
really, yeah, I can imagine there with all of that going on and it not just being a facility for um like facility for what would you a facility for the deranged?
Like,
I don't know what really would that be?
are you talking about when it was tuberculosis ward?
Was that the only thing that was there?
No, that was what it was originally used for.
Okay, okay.
And then once, that epidemic died out, it switched to, other things like mental health and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
nursing home and then both at the same time.
An interesting combination, is it not? Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned um spirits at ISS, but there may potentially be something else lingering as well. Tell me more.
Oh, well, I'm not going to say he actually exists, but there may or may not be a pretty famous cryptid that likes to hang out in the area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and if you haven't already lost us because we're paranormal investigators and talk about ghosts all the time, then I'm gonna lose you here because I'm talking Bigfoot, baby.
Yep, Bigfoot baby. I'm dead. You were so funny.
So, and I know how this sounds. Like, especially I told you earlier, I'm the skeptical one. Like,
Yeah, you
it's
have to
almost
be.
it's almost physically painful for me to even say the word Bigfoot out loud and be serious about it. But there's
Mhm.
something weird out there.
Yeah.
Whether it's Bigfoot or not, I don't know what it is, but it's weird. Um, so yeah, two of my coworkers once there were hanging out on the driveway because there's a very long gravel driveway. There's
Yeah.
goats, by the way, goats, and then
I'm down
woods.
with goats.
Yeah, yeah, you should be. Goats on one side, woods on the other.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they were basically like, keeping an eye out for trespassers, letting people out, and saw what they described as a very large, hairy being dart across the road, like just a little ways in front of them. And they said it wasn't a human. It was too large to be a person. It was too hairy to be a person. They didn't know what it was, but it was huge. And it ran across the road in front of them and took off into the woods.
Was this like the middle of the night?
Yes, this was at night.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to look into this.
you should.
Yeah, like, but before this happened, had you guys heard or known of any stories of Bigfoot being there?
I was completely ignorant to all this,
Yeah.
including that specific story. That had happened the weekend before I first went there.
Yeah.
So, my first weekend, the very first time I'd ever experienced ISS, I get put on gate duty, which is the same thing those two girls were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, me and my coworker were sitting in an SUV down on the driveway, watching for trespassers, making sure
Yeah.
people could leave and come and go if they needed to. Um, and we were kind of bored because we sit out there for like 2 hour shifts. And
Yeah.
to keep ourselves
Yeah.
occupied and awake, we were just messing around with our investigation equipment. So we had a spirit box out and we're just like kind of fiddling around on
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah. Playing around. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we turn it on, and all we can hear is just a noise of the radar frequency cycling through.
Yep.
And we were just kind of giggling to ourselves, making jokes. And out of nowhere, the entire SUV like shakes, like physically moves.
Oh my
And
God.
and we just both looked at each other, and I was like, "Did you just move?" And she said, "No." "Did you?" I said, "No." And both of us just very quickly reached over to the button for the windows and rolled them up.
Both of your windows were down.
Windows were down.
Oh no. Oh no. I mean, let's be real. If there was something large enough to like shake that vehicle while you're both inside of it, those windows probably aren't going to help you anyway. But for some
Why
reason,
not?
comfort, a level of comfort. Oh my
But
God. Yeah,
but we didn't
that's
even hear about the thing from the weekend before. We were just sitting out there completely blind, completely ignorant, didn't know anything about it. And so we were like, well, that was really weird, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we drive back up and tell our other coworkers up there what happened. And they're like, oh, you experienced Bigfoot. Yeah, they saw him last weekend. We're like, what?
Oh man. So it's just
Yep.
like just a typical Tuesday, you know?
Yep. So hey, go to ISS if you want to find ghosts or Bigfoot
Or Bigfoot.
or
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
I think that's pretty important to add to the list.
Hmm.
Um, definitely something I wanted to make sure we would touch on would be not just paranormal but supernatural and all of the things that we're just really not sure if we believe in. We do. It's why we're here. So before we go, Briana, I just want to highlight a location real quickly. Um, Bird Cell Mansion in West Bend, Indiana. Now, this is a
Hmm.
location that you and your team visited pretty recently.
Hmm.
Paranormal Possums hit Bird Cell Mansion, and you guys
Unfortunately, it
had,
was before the team was officially established, so we haven't you know, covered it on our site, but we'll have to go back because the place is
yeah,
gorgeous. It's beautiful.
yeah. I looked at some pictures. It is scary looking. It's so beautiful. You can really tell. Um, there's history there. There is. It was built in 1898, I believe. 89. 1898. So we're talking years and years and years and years and years of history and residual energy that's hanging around there. So we just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that location. If you guys are close to West Bend, Indiana, or not, this is definitely a location that you guys should hit up and try to capture some of your own evidence. Come back here, let me know, Toast and Ghosts, let Brianna know, Paranormal Possums. We'd really like to chat about this spot. Think it's something you guys might enjoy. It's in the top 10 most endangered places in all of Indiana. Um, so, no connection to the location, but we really thought we really wanted to highlight that. I almost just ended up on the floor again. Um, no connection to the location. We just really wanted to make sure that we gave them a little spotlight and a highlight. Get your teams out there, set up some overnight investigations, and have a great time. So, Brianna, is
Yeah,
there
it's a
anything
beautiful
else?
place.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Anything you want
was
to
there anything else?
touch base on before we head out? I feel like we covered a lot. We did pretty good. I was,
We did. We
yeah,
covered a shit ton.
yeah.
I'm still seeking the answers as to does paranormal stuff exist, or is Bree cuckoo bananas?
Well,
Follow
she might
Paranormal
she
Possums to find out.
she might be. Yeah, so funny. Follow the possums for more information. No, I think that we're all a little bit crazy, and that's why we're here together. Um, it's a really cool community. I would not be happier anywhere else, that's for sure. So
Mm,
we gotta
I've
share.
definitely found and met the most fascinating people through this. Like,
Absolutely.
easily, quickly. Like, it's almost stupid how fast I make friends
Yeah.
through investigations.
I remember you and I talking. I think it was like the night after our first investigation. You were in the car with me. We were riding to like the
Hmm.
grocery store or something. And we talked about how like I feel like we've just known each other forever. Like it's just like, you know, you click with people that understand you and that have had similar experiences. It's a small community, but it's a large community. And we're all in it together. I see it all the time anymore. Para unity. It really does. It brings people together. Common interests. It might be an expensive hobby, but it's a good one.
Expensive.
I
But
would
just
say,
for the record, it
yeah,
wasn't the entire conversation. It was the first word that came out of her mouth. And I'm like, yep, she's my buddy now.
she's the one. She's the one. Yep. You get weird, you stay weird. We have a good time.
For sure.
For sure. Well, this was incredible, Bree. I really appreciate you taking some time to sit with me tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to drop her information so you guys can go and hit up Paranormal Possums. Make sure you give them a like, a follow, a subscribe everywhere you possibly can. I know you said what, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is on the
And
way.
yep.
And then are you guys gonna maybe do anything with YouTube in the future, or are you just gonna kind of stick with your small clips and pics, and what's the plan?
I would like to expand the YouTube eventually, but
Yeah,
I need to get way better camera equipment before doing that sort
prefer.
of thing. Sorry, my
Yeah,
accent popped
I
up.
like that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. I'm using my phone and a ring light and we're rolling with it. So, um definitely keep me in the loop on what you guys have planned and I'll make sure that I'm sharing events you guys have so people can keep up.
sure. That would be great. And
Cool,
same to you.
cool.
And I know you're going to have a very long docket of people to interview and get to know and talk to and have fun.
For
But
sure.
whenever you have an opening, you're more than welcome to hit me up anytime.
That is so awesome. Well, thank you for your time again, Bree. It was wonderful chatting with you. And cheers me with your ghosty cup. And we
I was
will
about to suggest it.
see y'all next time. Bye. We'll probably have enough at that point. I mean, I feel like
Oh, I
we've
would think so,
we've we've got some good stuff in here.
for sure.
um, you mentioned that house you grew up in, the little story that you kind of hit on a little bit on Facebook. I feel like I need to face this way.
Oh, that's a different one than the one I'm planning on talking about too.
Is it? Is it?
Okay, so
Was it the same house?
no, long story short, divorced parents. My mom moved a lot.
Yeah.
I literally can't tell you how many different houses I lived in growing up. But the one I mentioned in that story is the one I lived in with my dad when my baby brother was born. He was born when I was 11. The Catball just moving. Like, it was legitimately just rolling. That was fun. I've never actually seen a cat ball like roll before. I've seen them light up.
I'm gonna need a cigarette. Oh, I got like the weirdest feeling,
Yeah,
like
your eyes are watered.
that came all over me. Yeah.
Doing all right.
That is crazy.
We caught that recording. We were recording that